Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are in another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Episode number 333. And I am fired up, Peter. Fired up.
Warning. Strap yourself
Fired
in.
up.
Sit down and strap in and get yourself something to drink.
Even though you're listening to this podcast, I want you to know that I mostly wrote it for myself to sort some things out, but you are going to benefit. I promise.
This is like the Wizard of Oz is behind the curtain, and you get to hear what he's talking about.
This is like being in my office in a staff meeting, which I don't have staff. But when we used to get together, these are things I would talk about. More importantly, I want you to understand that if you don't have thick skin and you're a little bit snowflake-ish, this may not be the podcast for you. So you might want to skip it. Okay? Mm-hmm. The title of this podcast, episode number 333, is Common Rookie Creative Real Estate Ignorance Tax that Stops Retirement Early Profits. Wow. Here's the description. How much ignorance tax are you actually paying by not knowing the craft of making $1 million per year with creative real estate cold? If you make $50,000 per year now, your ignorance tax to life is $950,000 per year. For not knowing how to find, structure, and profit from creative real estate transactions.
Mm-hmm.
Choosing to not learn with correct information in front of you is the same as not being able to learn. Or having a learning disability. And I'm not talking about reading books that you find in Barnes & Noble that only teach you broad, sweeping concepts and don't show you the details you need to get the rate of return you will need to pay down your $950,000 ignorance tax per year. So what has to happen to start paying down this ignorance tax you are burdened with? Especially if you don't have a lot of money now. In this single episode, we're going to talk about how you can pay this tax in full without breaking your bank account, or more important, how you can start today if that is your desire. And you can't find this information in Barnes & Noble book, in a Barnes & Noble book. Only right here and now is your chance. So make sure you listen up. Take notes.
You know, when you first did the title, I didn't get the word ignorance tax. Like, what? But I get it. You know, tax is not just when they charge you tax on something. We have inflation happening now. That's a kind of reverse tax. Life costs more. So it's a tax on your life. So not making money, ignorance tax. Did you make that up or did you get that from somebody?
No, I got it. I got it from somebody else.
Yeah, okay. That's a good one.
Yeah,
ignorance
so
tax.
At the end, we'll by the end of the podcast, you'll know where I got it from.
That's fine. I've learned something that the biggest loss of money in anybody's life is the money you're not making, not what you're wasting and spending. What you're not making. That's your biggest.
And you don't know
it. Yeah. Some people aspire or hope for it, but you're not making it.
Cool. So, let's do our housekeeping tasks.
TASKS. Okay.
So, first of all, we record this podcast every Thursday morning at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we live stream it to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So you could go there and you could watch us live. If you happen to be in one of those platforms, you could use the spaces provided to ask us questions, and we can respond. Occasionally, like this video, we are pre-recording, but that only happens a couple times a year. You could also go to WhatsApp Messenger, and WhatsApp Messenger has we have a group on there called Let's Talk Real Estate, and there's a bunch of like-minded people in there that you could hook up with and ask questions and make buddies with and call and do deals with and everything else. As well as you can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Top right-hand side is a support link. You can send me personally support tickets, and I will respond within 24 hours. Often it's within the same day because I check them a couple times a day. Okay? Last thing I'd like to say is please make sure you subscribe to our channel wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Also, leave us a review, good, bad, or indifferent. As they said on the Clint Eastwood movie, the good, the bad, or the ugly. His is and the ugly, but there you go. All right. So, make sure you leave us a review and make sure that my intention is not to leave you hanging with this information. Lastly, in the link of the description of wherever you're watching us or hearing us right now, there is on the very top of the description, there is a link as well as on the very bottom, and I give a lot of stuff away there. I've given away courses I've sold for hundreds of dollars and not told anybody. I just put them in the link. And I track those links because I have a link tracking device. And it's amazing to me how many people don't take advantage of those free things.
Well, if it's free, it can't be worth much, really, if it's free.
Yeah. My response to that is this, Peter. As my sister so adroitly says, oh, well.
It's oh, well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My sister, the sister that's a year younger than me, she has two sayings. Whatever.
Yeah.
And oh, well. She says them multiple times in a conversation. Yeah. All right. So here we go. Ready for the podcast?
I'm all ears on this one. I'm going to sit back and listen. I got the feeling like you got something to say.
Put your seatbelt on.
Yeah, I did.
Put your seatbelt on because this has taken me quite a while to accumulate in my mind. It's a multiple. You
have a lot of influences on this one?
Yeah. It's not just me. I've listened to other people. I have a course that I'm doing. I have other things that I'm doing. It's just accumulated over time and actually culminated. And I'm going to give a lot of credit to somebody at the end of this podcast that actually provoked me to do it. And he has nothing to do with real estate.
Yeah.
Okay? Here we go. Start. Seeking knowledge. Doesn't seem like that should be a craft, right? Or for most, not that important until they can't do something.
Yeah.
Or they can't do something they want to do. Seeking knowledge. But what if you looked at it through a different lens? Like, how do I make $1 million per year? Those are easy words to roll off your tongue. I'm going to tell you, I did a Dan Kennedy course, which I cannot find. It is driving me crazy. I might have to buy it again, which is pissing me off because it's in my house somewhere. He talked about on stage, openly, to a very, very small crowd, how to and what happens to you when you start making $1 million a year. Now, I want you to know, personally, that is not written down on my piece of paper, I've not made $1 million a year. But I'm not that far off. I've had years where I've missed it by a few $100,000.
Mm.
More to the point, it's not consistent.
Mm.
One year it's up, another year it's down. But Dan Kennedy talks about in his course about how things morph as this happens. And the biggest reason is that the person that makes $1 million a year thinks different than the rest of us about everything.
Yeah.
So in podcast number 331, one of the things I told you in the checklist was make a decision.
Yep.
That was the first thing on our 15-point checklist, make a decision. Yep. I'm not talking about, a wish. I'm not talking about a desire. I'm talking about a decision that is going to change your behavior, your habits, your outcomes, your inputs. Right? Like I said in that podcast, 331, computers, garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I'm talking about designing your environment almost like you live in an ivory tower where you can't be touched.
Mm.
I'm talking about having knives and guns at the peripheral edges of your time blocking. So if somebody tries to penetrate it, they die. They bleed at the peripheral edge because you're that mean about it. Now, some people may not want that desire. They may not want what I'm talking about. But I'm telling you, you can't say I want to make a lot of money and not think like that.
Mm.
And I'm being crude by saying they die. I don't obviously mean that. But my point is that you're vicious about them protruding your time, wasting your time, using your time for useless things like you don't want to talk about at that point. Now, I'm not saying that you're like this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm just talking about this when you're working.
Mm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Looking through a different lens like, how do I make $1 million a year? And what do I need to know? This is the ignorance tax you have to pay in life. What don't you know? Better question, do you actually talent stack?
Talent stack?
Yep.
Okay. You can explain?
Yeah. Actually, you're really good at math.
Mm-hmm.
As an example, you're really good at math.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're good at math. But when you stack that with creative real estate offers, it becomes much more valuable, right?
I see what you mean. Yeah, there's people.
How about this
there's
one?
People that have like two types of skill sets. You put them together and it adds up to something really. I got you. Good.
Or they have one skill set and need to acquire another to make it better.
Yes.
How about this one? You have good communication skills, which, by the way, is not a lot of people. I promise you, it's not a lot of people. But there are people that have good communication skills. Well, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when you stack that talent with talking to creative real estate sellers, and then stack on top of that your math skills, all of a sudden you bring mad skills to the table of buying real estate.
So math, communication. Is there another one or two?
Yeah, so what I was saying is, let me go back a page. So you have good communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
You have good math skills.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And, what was the other one? I thought there was 3. I guess there was just 2.
Mm-hmm.
Good organization skills is another one.
Sure.
Right? So you may have one, not the other. You might have another, not the one. But the point is are you deal stacking? I'm sorry, yeah, deal stacking. I shouldn't mean to say that. Are you skill stacking? This falls into the realm of seeking knowledge. What are your talents? What are your weaknesses? What are your adjacent skills you need help with or need to add to? So the point that I'm trying to make is creative real estate in $1 million. So you have to look at, I want to make $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So what skills do I have? What skills don't I have? And what are adjacent to me that I can use until I can get those skills?
Right.
So the way you do this is you obviously have a skill. Everybody has a skill or two or three. So what that means is you take those skills and make money with those skills.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take a portion of that money and you go learn about the adjacent skills or the additional skills you need. That's what we're called paying down your ignorance tax with stacking your adjacent skills and becoming more and more valuable.
It makes a lot of sense.
Now hear me loudly. I'm not talking about reading books.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to be clear about this. I want to clear things up.
Mm-hmm.
I read a lot of books. You know that.
You do.
But no one has ever asked me why. Why do I read a lot of books? So what do you think, Peter? Why do you think I read a lot of books?
I think I've heard you say this, and I hope I don't get this wrong, but you'll correct me. You'll tell us in a second. I think you said you'd like to get other people's opinions of things.
Right.
See, I was listening.
Good
I was
job,
listening
Peter.
that day. Other people's opinions of things, their viewpoints.
Yeah. So here's my answer to that. On a talent that I'm trying to improve. So it's not just willy-nilly what I read. It's on a talent that I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to stack my talents.
Yeah.
And I recognize, I'll give you an example. Okay, so I'm really good at creative real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. I buy deals. I do things, right? That's good. But it doesn't make me $1 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the reason why is because I have a mad passion to teach it. And you know as well as I do, I have more passion to teach it than I do to actually do the deal.
I've
sometimes.
had conversations. Bill, we have 2 houses we can buy this week. Well, I got to do this coaching thing or this. I got to make a webinar. I got to make a video. Like, but. And I've said, like, you sure you want to spend all that much time there when, you're skipping deals here? Yeah, it's true.
So the talent that I had to stack is like all the internet, how to make courses, how to run podcasts, how to do recordings. I just set up the other day. I set up a new studio in my outside of my office to record videos. I'm going to tell you right now, one of the most amazing things that I've ever created with Sean and David is creative REI replay. I believe at this point, it's in its infamy stage because we only have 100 and something users at this point, which is changing. We've actually taken the learning curve, the experience, and all the hard things people struggle with in creative real estate, and we've removed it with push-button technology. Believe that.
Yep, we did.
That's stacking talent. That's learning. We just hired a programmer. I had to deal with that whole new talent of like how to deal with a programmer and how to make things work and how to test things and UI. UI is a user interface, right? There's all this technology I had to go learn, right? So my answer, as you said, is on a talent that I'm trying to improve, I pay down my ignorance tax by reading, like you said, other viewpoints or opinions of how that author has done it or not done it.
Yep.
Now pay attention to this. I'm looking for the general concept, not the details, on how to get me my maximum return on investment. Excuse me. So basically, let me get a drink of water here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they could be talking about some very specific things in a book, but you're going to adapt the concept to anything you're doing, and that's what you need to look for.
So, yeah, I'm shopping around to see who I can get a course from or who I can get coaching from. To me, it's like going on to Amazon and buying a pencil. Like, which one do I want? Mm-hmm. So when I'm reading books on, like, who can I buy a course from? Or who can I buy some coaching from? Mm-hmm. And here's the reason why. Only courses, coaching, or masterminding will give you the details to apply and pay down the ignorance tax you have. Reading a book will not do it.
They say too general? Or they say more on like what you need to do but not how?
Right. So, having written 6 or 8 books myself. Actually, I've written more than that for other people. But having written, we'll say a dozen books in my lifetime, right? Because I've written books for chiropractors. I wrote a book about the internet. I wrote 4 or 5 books on creative real estate. People actually paid me thousands of dollars to write them a book. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the thing that I learned is that books are marketing tools. Mm. They're business cards.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're telling you what to do. They're not telling you how to do it. And even though they give you some nice little jewels, like the 4-hour work week, he's done a great job. Mm-hmm. I'm not Tim Ferriss, I think his name is. I'm not bashing his book. I read it a couple times. He did a great job of giving you links and finding virtual assistants and all that. But you're not going to do a 4-hour work week unless you get in his course or his coaching program, because there's just not enough details on how to do it in a book.
Yeah, well, I'm still doing music lessons, and people say I could go online, but you can't ask a book or video a question. Right. You can't ask them for help when you're trying to apply what you're learning and something's not working well, or you have specific circumstances, some weird detail that you're having. Not going to be in the book.
Right. For example, I use a Mac. The guy that made the program is using a Windows.
Oh.
Something that simple. Like exactly what you're saying. Mm. Right? See, what you need is skill set. You don't need knowledge. I'm telling you, the best quality I have in my personality, and it's taken me 59 freaking years to figure this out, is my observation skills. I've learned the most from my observation skills, and that means observing myself. COVID helped me with that. All of a sudden, I'm on camera all the time, seeing myself, watching myself talk, watching my emotions and watching my reflections of my body motions. That has humbled me immensely. I'm a big guy. I didn't know I was a big guy. I thought I was normal. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean big like fat. I mean, I'm 6'3", 275 pounds. I'm a big guy.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I got my belly on me, which goes up and down. But for the rest of my body, my wife talks about it all the time. She's like, other than your belly, I have no fat on my body at all. According to her.
Mm.
But I had to get on video and I had to confront myself. And I actually act different now because of that. That's a skill set. That's stacking your talents. The ability to get on a Zoom call with 60 people that want to talk to you individually, personally, just you, with real estate questions, and how to manage that and do it all by yourself. Nobody in the room with you. It's a talent.
Yep.
You need skill set, not knowledge. And besides, like I said, most books today are written as a marketing tool for other products or services, like courses and coaching. That's what they're written for. They are public relations. They are the PR aspect of that author's business. It's their outflow. It's their contact step. So you build some relationship with them. And then when it comes time for them to start marketing to you, you already know who they are.
Yep.
The PR has kicked in. And then they start doing marketing. So then by the time you go through their public relations, their PR, and through their marketing, by the time they get ready to sell you, it's a shorter sales process for them.
Yeah. Oh, I know that guy.
Because you already know them.
Absolutely. Yeah. You
and
you get an email from somebody, you read the book or you met him at the conference. You know, it's what's his name?
And here's what happens is the PR aspect of it, where he's talking or either on a video or she's talking on a video or you're reading a book, you gain affinity. You say, he's just like me. She's just like me. You gain affinity.
Yeah.
Then the marketing comes in and you gain agreement. Oh, yeah, I like this guy. I like this girl. Yeah, they really talking my talk.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like me. And then the sales, the marketing goes on like, oh yeah, we could do this together. We could do that together. We could do this. So by the time you get to the sales process where you're actually communicating with him or her or their staff, you already have affinity. You already have agreement. Now you're going to communicate and get it close. This is what these guys are doing. I do it myself. I understand it.
Yeah. So
the books in Barnes & Noble are not going to change you. That knowledge is not going to change you. It is not going to pay down your $950,000 ignorance tax. Make sense?
Well, you have to apply it. As an educator, knowledge is power only if you apply it. So you have to exert, some responsibility for it. So like, I know this, now what do I do? And you have to go do something with it. How do you expect it to make a change in life if it's in your head? That doesn't get into the world.
That sentence is cut short. Somebody cut that sentence in half.
Really?
Yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power for application.
Yeah. Say that again?
Knowledge is power only for application.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowledge alone is not power. It's the application. It's the action.
That's what I'm saying. If it's in your head, what good is it? Yeah, right?
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, but that's true.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. You got to use it. Oh, I read this book. That's nice.
Okay. This walks me into some theory about the anatomy of thinking. You ready?
I'm sitting down. I'm strapped in.
Definition of fact.
Okay.
What is a fact? A fact is something that can be proven or has visible evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed?
Mm-hmm.
Fact is something that can be proven or has visible evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Definition of an opinion.
Mm.
Is something which may or may not be based on any facts.
Mm-hmm.
Yet most people use a sloppy mind and sees no difference between a fact and somebody's opinion.
I'm afraid if the information agrees with them, they'll consider it a fact whether it is or not, because they like it.
Right.
It makes them right or something.
Right.
Painful.
A vast number of rookies out there see no difference at all in facts and opinions and easily accept both or either as having equal validity.
Wow. And I'm sure, and I'm thinking, boy, that's stupid. But I'm thinking, I might do that myself, because you wouldn't realize it.
I have.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So let me back up. Let me back
go ahead.
up. In reverse. Beep,
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 beep.
beep.
Okay. If you are not making $1 million a year, this is happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are. So you know best son of a bitches out there that think you know everything? This is for you. You procrastinators, this is for you. You people that have fear problems, this is for you. People like me that are actually doing it and look like I'm doing well, this is for me.
Yeah.
I wrote this podcast for me.
Yeah.
A vast number of rookies out there see no difference at all in facts and opinions and accept both of them or either of them as having equal validity.
You know, I have a bad feeling, Bill. This is just my 2 cents. This is my opinion, not a fact. But as an educator, I'm pretty sure that there's people out there that don't think that there really are facts. That, you really can't be sure of things. So if it's okay for you, it's okay. I'm pretty sure there's that too. So what you just said won't even register with some people. Like, well, nobody really knows. I mean, I've heard it said, like, well, nobody really knows about so whatever you think is fine. Like, oh my God. Just to make it worse. So if we can come up a couple notches from there, this podcast is for you. Below that, nope.
A vast number of rookies out there see no difference at all in facts and opinions and easily accept both or either as having equal validity.
Yup.
Funny thing is, well, what does that mean to you? I mean, you just gave me an example, but what does that mean to you?
Well, if you're trying to do something, buy houses, do anything, and you have a list of facts and you have some opinions, if you use more opinions than facts, how can it work? An opinion has, I don't know, a 50-50 chance of being right? Less? If you're running on opinions, I mean, it's hard enough. This is a tough world. Let's be honest. This is a really difficult world to live in. It is just hard. And if you don't have facts to navigate through, it's still hard. And if you use opinions, good luck. How's that supposed to work?
We're going to talk about all that, Peter. But I didn't write this down, but I want to add a little injection here.
Yeah.
You know what's worse than an opinion?
No. What?
An unsolicited opinion.
Yeah. Well, if you want my advice, no. Right?
Tell a kid, don't ride that bike. My sister-in-law does this to my niece all the time. Don't do that. She's dramatizing her fear on her child.
Yeah.
She doesn't like bikes. She fell off a bike when she was a kid, so now she doesn't want her daughter to ride a bike because she thinks it's dangerous and actually thinks that's a fact.
And does she think did she say you're gonna get hurt?
Yep.
You're gonna get hurt. She doesn't say don't get hurt. She says you're gonna get hurt. What?
Here's another one.
What?
Don't do real estate. That's stupid. I have a partner right now saying, I'm not doing real estate. You only make $400 a month? No, I'm going to go off and make software instead. That's an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is, if you use opinions instead of facts to solve problems, you end up with insane, unworkable solutions with no return to pay down your ignorance tax. So stop the press, stop the train.
Put the brakes on.
Let's have a moment of silence right now. After I read this. The funny thing is, if you use opinions instead of facts to solve problems, you end up with insane, unworkable solutions with no return to pay down your ignorance tax. We should measure our life statistically with results. Results come from facts.
Yeah.
Now watch this. You ready? We're moving on. Here is another severely thing that I struggle with. Severe. This is very severe in my life. This is catastrophic for me in my life. I lay down at night, my head on a pillow, many, 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 many nights thinking about this. When a basic law is confused with an opinion or some other identical fact, it is a conflict or is conceived as non-important. So when a basic law is confused with an opinion or some other identical fact, it's conceived as not important.
Wow. And it's a basic law.
The basic law is not conceived as a senior data or fact, so therefore could be tossed away. And the rookie feels they are no more poorer for it. There's the heart of ignorance tax right there.
Ouch.
Truth is, when a rookie cannot use a subject he studies or cannot seem to understand a situation, the disability is that the basics are conceived by him thinking they are senior information, when indeed are actually just common knowledge. Am I being too profound?
You might want to expound or repeat that last one, because that was a punchline, I think. Do that a little more.
Truth is, when a rookie cannot use a subject he studies or cannot seem to understand a situation, the disability is that the basics are conceived by him. In other words, basic information.
Real fundamental. Really fundamental stuff, right?
No, I'm not talking about basic laws. I'm talking about just average data.
Oh, okay.
Basic data, average data is consumed by him, and he thinks they're senior data.
I gotcha. Yeah, I thought.
And they're just common law.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you an example. Money now, money monthly, money later.
Yeah.
That could be conceived as an opinion, or as a like a common truth. You know, it's like, oh yeah, that it's too simple.
Oh.
And not considered that it's a basic law or a basic action in real estate that will get you to retire early.
Yeah.
Here's another example. Objects fall when they're dropped. It's just the same to him as the casual statement of a cat just jumped off the chair and landed on the floor. They're the same data to him. Where one, objects fall when dropped, is gravity. It's a basic law. You need to know that if you live on planet Earth. You can't, I'm going to get to this in a minute, but you can't predict, you can't do anything unless you know that law.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to get hurt.
Try cutting a tree down without knowing that.
Right? Is not the same piece of information as a cat just jumped off the chair and landed on the floor.
Nope.
They're different pieces of information. And they're used differently.
Well, our not to digress too much, but our education system does not know that. I'm an educator. I work with students all the time. I know that they don't know that. The proof is when they do a test, they ask any question about what you studied. They do not ask about the important things, how to use them. They just ask anything to see if you read it. So people are trained not to recognize that some things are important, some things aren't. So when they learn something, they don't know where to look at. And they're like, whoa, like when I first called you, like, what do I need to know? Blah, 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 blah. There's a long list of this. And I didn't know. I was looking for where to start. I knew that much. But they threw too many things at me. And I think people are educated like that.
So what you're saying to me, Peter, is the test is on memorization, not application.
Right. And it's memorization of the small fact, not even the important stuff. I got a guy going through jet engine testing for his license. And they'll ask anything, not the important things about the test engine. There's important things to know. You better ask those, not the insignificant, stupid stuff. But they don't see a difference. Right. So I'm just saying people may not, I don't think they're trained to look for what's important. They look for the whole pile, and you just can't. It's just too much. Right. And you don't need the whole pile. You need the simple, true facts. Here's what you need to know. Go. Or else you never get a move on. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. All right. So, by the way, the definition of basic law, a basic law for me is, so I should have done this first, but what is a basic law?
Mm-hmm.
Like, here's my definition. Mm-hmm. A codified set of agreements that are set because of self-evident truths. And often it is an unprovable rule or principle, because no matter how many times you do it, the same result is gotten.
So did you say it was unprovable?
Yeah.
Well,
so a codified set of agreements that are set because of self-evident truths, and often it is an unprovable rule. So like every time I drop something, it falls. That's gravity. Mm-hmm. I don't have to prove that.
Like you don't
law.
have
it just
like you don't have to prove it. Because
it just happens.
There's no exception to it, right?
There's no exception.
Yeah. So there's no like sometimes look, maybe not. It's always that way. So just the end of story.
So I don't have to. So that's a natural law. Yeah. It's a codified set of agreements that are set because of self-evident truths.
Yeah.
Every time I pick something up and I drop it, I let go of it, it falls.
Yeah.
I don't have to prove it. I don't have to do anything. It's just going to be that way. Yeah. Like money now, money monthly, money later is the way to evaluate your deals. And if you get each one of those, after a while, you will retire.
Well, all three of those do happen, can happen, might happen. Let's see if we can get them all to happen at the same time. Would be nice.
Right. Right. So whenever you have thought confusions, you will always find facts and opinions are mixed up. Mm. Or basic laws or senior information is considered not important. When in fact, basic laws are something with which one thinks with. It is information to which one allows other junior facts and aligns actions to it. Mm-hmm. A law that allows one to predict with, right? Mm-hmm. A law that shows you that an object falls when not supported. And of course, cats, books, plates, and other objects can be predicted in a certain behavior if one lets go of them. It's sad to me. Because of our world, let me get this right. Because as our world drifts alone, with generations less and less taught, and more suppressed in thinking, with government parties owning or controlling TV studios, newspapers, social media, the general public is fed with lies, half-truths, opinions, and actually consider them facts.
Yep. I'm not going to say, you didn't mention educational programs. I'm not going to say what the student walked out of here told me yesterday, about what they're telling her in school and how they think it's true, and like, oh my God. Not even going to bring it up. That's a nice one.
Then wonder why their opinions don't get them results, or why they struggle to make 50 grand or 100 grand per year. Why do people struggle to make just 50 grand a year or 100 grand?
Mm-hmm.
And why most people think making 150 grand or 200 grand a year is a lot. Ignorance tax. Ignorance tax. Instead of burning the ships to win the fight when it comes to paying off your own ignorance tax. And that comes from the story of, like, this army with, all the ships hit shore of an island.
Mm-hmm.
And the troops come off, and the general says, burn the ships.
But how do we escape if we don't win?
And the point is that either you die in the fight or you win the fight. But I'm going to tell you right now, when you're faced with that decision, die or don't escape, you're going to fight a little harder.
Yeah. When things get hard in this world, some people use it as an excuse that they can quit. It got too hard. Some people say, it got hard, so I worked harder. That's even students of mine or people I know. Anything. Oh, it's too hard. Or, it got hard, so I worked harder at it. Which person are you?
My theory in life, it's a core fundamental of mine, and you know this because you work with me all the time. You've seen me up, you've seen me down. My core value is this. One of my very strong, stable datums is if I have something that bad happen to me, and it hangs around in my world for any length of time, and I mean a day or 2 or 3, no more than a week, I know why it hangs around.
Mm-hmm.
That is because I haven't figured out what lesson did I learn from that problem. Until I figure that out, it doesn't dissipate, it doesn't disappear, it doesn't go away. I have to say to myself, well, I'm glad that my father-in-law passed away because I learned this from it. I'm glad that I had a car accident because I learned this from it. I'm glad that I just lost $10,000 because now I can do this in the future. And until you do that, you haven't made it. So why do most people think making 150 or 200 grand a year is a lot of money? Most people don't even fathom that they could make $500,000 a year by mistake.
Yeah, I know some people that don't look too smart to me, and they do that. You wonder, how did that guy do it? Yeah, yeah.
Stacking your talents and becoming more and more valuable to others. That's the trick. Taking a percentage of what you make each week and invest it into you. Getting those courses with all the tiny details you're missing to get a rate of return on your time and study. My wife used to give me a hard time because I just bought a course. It was $2,000. I didn't have the money, extra cash. I took it from places I shouldn't have. I'm all over that thing. I mean, I've spent hours in there this week. It's a talent that I want.
Mm-hmm.
I thrive for it. I believe it's going to change my business. And I can't tell you how many courses I bought thinking that, and it doesn't. But I always manage to somehow. I remember one time I bought a course, was on how to write books. It was $2,000. We had no money at that time. And my wife, oh my God, she let me know where the bear shit in the woods on that whole drill. I think there's seldom a time where I buy a course where I don't get at least my money back by trying it. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean like a monetary, I mean like real money. Like I bought this course on how to write books or how to publish a book, self-publish a book. Yeah. It cost me $2,000. I not only did it for myself 3 times and saved all the money, but I sold 3 books to 3 chiropractors and made over $6,000. We buy the Dave Lindahl coaching.
Yep.
And we spent a bunch of money. I got my money's worth.
We did.
I now have multifamily houses that I probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for him.
Mm-hmm.
I go to Ron LeGrand. If it wasn't for Ron LeGrand, I wouldn't be where I am today. Spending $7,000 my first time. Bankrupt in a gas station. Selling my $40,000 toolbox for $7,500 so I can go get an education.
Mm-hmm.
That was 20 years ago. $40,000 was a lot of money. Took me 10 years to pay that $43,000 off, and I sold it to a guy. He made a hell of a deal. Gave me $7,500 in cash. I went into my office and I called Ron LeGrand and I put it in my bank and called Ron LeGrand and gave it to him.
Yep.
And went to a seminar. Spending the money for a coach. Tiger Woods set for life. I think he's got enough money. He doesn't have to worry.
He probably still has a coach too, doesn't he?
And he still has a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Pick any one of them. I had the glorious ability to sit with Tabucky Jones any night of the week I want because he owns the cigar shop where I smoke cigars. And he played in the NFL for 10 years. And when you ask him direct pointed questions, even though he's got an ego bigger than the Empire State Building, mm-hmm. He'll come down if you ask him the right questions and tell you you can't do it without coaching. You can't see yourself swing a golf club.
Yeah.
You can't see yourself working. You can't see yourself fumbling or why you fumble the football.
Well, first, I hate to see myself making mistakes. It's hard. You don't want to, number one. And then two, you can't even do it. So why not? 2 heads are better than one.
So just to test this concept, just to prove that I'm right, and I'm not trying to be right, but just to prove that I'm not full of shit today, and I'm trying to sell you coaching, because somebody's probably thinking right now, oh, he's probably trying to sell coaching. No, I'm not. Actually, my coaching program, I've got 3 slots left. I've actually got it closed right now. And I need some cash, too, and I'm doing it against my checkbook screaming at me. Because you always need cash, right? I lost my train of thought.
You're going to prove it.
Oh, thank you. So, talk to a seller, record yourself, then listen to the recording, and think, was I really good at that, or do I need help? You're coaching yourself. So just have two job descriptions. One as investor, another as coach.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you coach yourself? Just record yourself. Even just talking to your wife or talking to your kids.
Mm.
Most importantly, talking to a seller. Just record yourself just once. Just record yourself and listen to that recording. And think, am I worth $1 million a year? Was that good enough to make $1 million a year?
Boy, that's scary when it put it that way. I was thinking, did I do a nice job? No, you go, did I do $1 million job? Boy, you're brutal today. But it's honest, isn't it?
Pony up those thousands saved to be in a mastermind group that are all one step or two steps above you. So they bring you up.
Yep.
That's been my problem for the last several years, and this is such an arrogant and pompous thing to say, but a lot of the groups I'm in, I'm top dog.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get out of those groups. I need to be bottom dog. I need to be the rookie in those groups.
Yeah, you don't learn from the top. You learn from the bottom. If you have nothing to look up to, that's why one of the reasons you actually have your own coach. I know, every Friday, tomorrow, coach. You have somebody to talk to.
And that's going to change because I think I've hit my plateau with him and I need to find a new coach.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I do have a coach every Friday, and it's just even if it's just to go, it's a this, it's a that, it's a this, it's a that, just to get it off my chest.
Yeah.
And he acknowledges me correctly, it's enough.
Yep.
Choosing not to learn everyday common knowledge everyone else knows and go after the hidden knowledge behind those expensive gateways that your other talents pay to get a new talent to stack onto your value to bring other for high exchange. Stacking talents. Making yourself valuable to others. Which brings me to the last point of today's podcast. The only reason why you have money or don't have money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I learned this from Mr. Hubbard.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why you have money or don't have money comes from a valuable final service or product you exchange with others.
Mm.
You could have a bottle of water, complete, ready to be sold, but if they don't want it, they won't pay for it. Or you can have an incomplete bottle of water trying to sell it, and they won't take it because it's not completed. If it's not valuable or incomplete or not what is needed and wanted, you have no exchange or money. So your value has to be complete.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to have it all in one package and be able to deliver it. And B, somebody else has to be willing to exchange for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do, then you have a lot of money. So what talents are you not providing to sellers? Which goes all the way back to podcast number, give me 1 second, oh my goodness, 228 I think it is. Yeah, 228, the great rookie conflicts in creative real estate today. And the conflicts are, A, you got a bad offer, it's unbalanced. B, not enough outflow. And C, you remember what C is?
I remember all three of those. And I don't remember everything we covered in such great detail all the time. But yeah, interference. Too much
distraction in your life.
Yep.
So, what one of those three, or all three of those, excuse me, is actually holding you back, causing you to pay ignorance tax. Now, I so easily talk about making $1 million a year. There are a lot of people right now listening to me that don't want to make $1 million a year. Money's not their thing. So pick your number. You need to make $5,000 a month and only work 10 hours a month. There's an ignorance tax there. You want to make $3,000 on your first deal, just one deal, you want to make $3,000. There's an ignorance tax there. So if you've made no money on real estate and you want to make $3,000, your ignorance tax is at least $3,000. Or if you've spent $10,000 on courses and books and mentoring that were incorrect, then your ignorance tax is at this point is the $10,000 for the course, and the $3,000 you haven't made is $13,000.
It'd be funny if it wasn't so sad.
If you're not stacking your talents and making valuable final services or products that are exchangeable, you have a tax, right? You have an ignorance tax. There's something you don't know. There's something you aren't doing. Agreed?
No, well, the proof is in the result. Bottom line's bottom line. What are you going to say? I did everything right, and I don't have enough money. How are you going to say that?
Right. Or you've convinced yourself what you're doing is good. You're at the top wrong.
Well, now what do we do? Blame somebody else now? Yeah. See how?
Well, we could easily, right now we could easily blame the administration.
And even if it's true, even if that's true, what are you going to do about it? So who suffers? Somebody else or you? So do something about it.
Not to get political, but I know, and I am definitely not a Biden fanboy for sure. But they blame Biden on inflation. I think Mr. Trump had a lot to do with it too.
Yeah.
Because when he was running COVID for 2 years and they had the whole country shut down, they were printing money. They printed money because inflation to me is as simple as this. Too much money, not enough products. In other words, you have one house to sell and 20 buyers.
Sure.
The price will go up.
Yeah, that's just the law. That's just economics law.
Basic
period.
law. That's what I was just talking about. Basic law.
No opinion there, boy.
Right? So Mr. Trump had something to do with this, President Trump, because he had the country shut down and he was printing money and giving it out for $600 a week.
Yeah.
And it's always that way. The next administration comes in and they have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mr. Biden is still printing more money and still trying to give more. I mean, Donald Trump, as far as I'm concerned, was printing millions. And Mr. Biden is printing trillions. There's a difference. So I don't think either one of them is good or bad. The point is that inflation's considered the hidden tax.
Yep.
So how do we have a skill to fight that? What skill can we use to fight inflation? Well, I've already told that to you in past podcasts. Mm-hmm. You could get really good. You could take one of my courses. I have an unbelievable course on how to do Subject 2. It's a 6.5 hour course. It blows anybody. I will put it up against anybody on the internet. And if I don't blow you away, I'll give it to you for free. It's a few $1,000s. But imagine this. You want to beat inflation. Mm-hmm. Imagine buying houses at 3% interest and then collecting rent on houses that normally would be at 6% interest. We did it on an average deal the other day. And there was a $398 difference between, just on a mortgage calculator. We put in $210,000. We put in $5,000 for taxes, $1,800 a year for insurance. And the difference between 3% and 6% on that same deal was $398 per month. Yep. So that means if you knew how to buy subject to deals for real and bought them at 2 and 3% money, and then because the way we figure our rental payments is not rentometer or rental averages or rental market rent. Mm-hmm. We do it on a mortgage because they're buying the house. So if they were to go get a $210,000 mortgage at the current rate, which is 6% or 7%, this is how much they would have to pay. Mm-hmm. But yet we bought it at 3%. That's breaking the economy. That's being clever. That's value stacking right there.
Yep. You can't beat them. You have to join them. It's like karate, jiu-jitsu. The guy's coming at you. You don't go at him. You just take him and have him go flying past you. You use that energy. You use that motion to your advantage. So don't fight it. Just find a way to utilize it instead of complaining about it.
Mm-hmm. So decide. Look at your basic knowledge, your talents, what you could talent stack, and how to deliver it, and you'll spot your income in an instant. Whatever your talents are now is what you're getting paid for. And then figure out what do you got to do to stack those. And don't go buy a book and think it's going to cover it. No. Invest in yourself. Spend $2,000 so that you'll do the course, because when you spend more money, you spend $15,000 for coaching, you will do it. Because you'll feel like you'll waste the money if you don't.
There really is that factor.
Decide where your ignorance is. Figure out where your ignorance tax is being paid. And start paying it off. The end. Now, by the way, I told you at the end, I want to really give a special thanks to Alex Hermosi. He wrote a book. I don't have the book in front of me. How to make $1 million offer. Mm-hmm. You and I actually worked on that for a while. Mm-hmm. He actually owns gyms, and he wrote a book that I read. In fact, Sean is all over him. Sean loves this guy, my other partner. And he wrote a book on how, I can't find it in my office here. It's about how to run a profitable gym. He owned a chain of gyms. So Sean was kind of teasing me because I read his book on how to run a gym. I have no desire to run a gym.
Mm-hmm. Bill, you don't even go to a gym.
No, and I won't either. My workout station's in my bedroom. So my point is that this book is all about how to run a gym, but there was so much magic in it. So Sean, occasionally, who's my other partner, sends me a podcast, and he had a podcast called Paying the Ignorance Tax. And he actually got it from somebody else. So I have completely robbed this, but I want to say thank you for Alex because he motivated. I had already been in this funk. And to me, it has nothing to do with making $1 million a year. It has everything to do with, I told you at the beginning of this podcast before I pushed the button. It goes like this. I don't want to be po no mo. And I'm not saying I'm poor because I'm far from it. Mm-hmm. Far from it. But my point is that the money for me is a scoreboard, and it's not how much can I get, but it's how much can I get and help others. How much can I get so I can help the church, and how I can educate other people, and how I can help other people actually learn real estate. Like I said on the last podcast when we were talking on, I think, episode number 331, I could have retired. I could have retired in 2013, and I did, and it lasted for about 3 months, and I realized I don't enjoy walking around in flip-flops, smoking cigars, sitting on my deck, working on the computer, doing stupid shit. I didn't enjoy it. Mm-hmm. But I enjoy doing what I do now. And it's a matter of I need to make more money now so I have more resources to do more things that I want to do. You know, like an investors association, like all the thousands that we spent to create, to generate and start up creative REI replies so others could easily do real estate. And we've done that.
Yep.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And we have 100 and something users that are giving us testimonials that make me cry. People come in that have said that they've spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to learn real estate, and they've been in creative REI reply for 30 days, and they've already doing a deal. That's what I want to work on. Okay, 9 minutes past the hour, now 10 minutes past the hour. I hope that was good for you, Peter. I hope that was good for our listeners. I hope it was organized enough to make you think. I hope you too will be dedicated to paying your ignorance tax. I know I am. And I just want to say, make sure you leave us, you subscribe to our channel wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Make sure you leave us a review. Make sure that you go to WhatsApp Messenger, look for Let's Talk Real Estate and get in that group. Or if you have any questions, send me a support ticket at flippinghousesforrookies.com, top right-hand side. Also, there's a link in the chat that will help you with today's podcast. So make sure you go check it out. It's not in the chat. It's in the description. I always say the chat. Okay? With that said, we're going to move on. Have a good day.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.